before lock show for UFC London, or maybe we just call it the Patty Pimblett show, because that's what today is all about. When he walks into that cage, it'll be an electric atmosphere, and he's talked about he feels like this will probably be his last time he fights in London, as he feels the rest of his fights are now going to take place in the United States. Of course, we're here to break this one down for you. Lock 1 hour from right now, and myself and the fighter Pete Rogers Jr. here to break one down for you. Of course, we're sponsored by PrizePicks. Talk about some of those props we like over at PrizePicks later on in the show. Good morning, Pete. How you doing, bro?
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. 2 weeks in a row, we get daytime MMA. I feel completely spoiled, and it's a damn good card as well. So let's make some money, and let's talk about some fights.
Of course, you got any questions, be sure to line those up in the chat. You can throw those in Discord as well. So if you've got any questions about those fights, be sure to line those up. Before we kind of really get into the DFS aspect of this, have you seen how crazy this line movement on Nathaniel Wood is?
He's almost like a 6-1 favorite now, isn't he?
He's over a 6-1 favorite now. He's minus 625. Like, look, should he be the favorite against Charles Rosa? Yes. That number to me is absolutely insane. I mean, the fact that Nathaniel Wood hasn't fought in 2 years. He stepped up here at 145 pounds. I mean, look, and Charles Rosa, I spoke to him earlier this month. We'll see if he truly does make these changes that he says he's going to make. We'll see what happens. But to me, that line and the Muhammad Mokaev line, I think is way too wide.
Yeah. So I would agree with you. Line movement is interesting, especially because people are, flocking, the masses are flocking to one side, and that creates some leverage on the slate. Virtually, I always have zero interest in Charles Rosa. But from an ownership standpoint, I actually got to him a little bit just because it allowed a ton of roster flexibility. He's super, super cheap. He should be the bigger guy in there. I think that Nathaniel Wood has his number in multiple areas of the fight, and Rosa's, tendency of laying on his back and accepting bottom position has cost him a ton of fights. Now, I think Nathaniel Wood can box him up on the feet. Rosa can be somewhat competitive and, utilize a similar karate style. It's like a low-level karate style. He likes to blitz a lot, kick a lot from the outside. If this turns into a competitive striking affair, just from the price point itself, he could do enough in a loss potentially, or this could just be a close fight. And early on in Nathaniel Wood's career, he has been submitted. So if you really want to throw anything at Charles Rosa and talk highly of him, it's that he has pretty decent submission skills. So a guy in New England who was absolutely fantastic on the mat, Manny Bermudez, he submitted him off of his back. So I think that, we always talk about armbar from guard. Rosa's in a similar type of situation. He needs a Hail Mary submission attempt, in my opinion, to win this fight, because I actually think that Nathaniel Wood could break the slate, but the odds are a little wide.
So what I love to do on, I export out our top fighter tool over Stokastic.com. Yep. So that helps me build my lineups. And I get the various highlighter colors I have here in the office, and I just start highlighting the crap out of this thing. Mm-hmm. And so in one color, I have one fight I am prioritizing, main event. I think we're all clear on that one.
Yeah.
There's 3 fights I've highlighted because of somewhat low ownership. Ozdemir Craig. I'm surprised that fight has lower ownership. I'm just surprised by that.
Yeah.
And then the first and second fight of the night, I don't think there should be a ton of shock that fight overall is getting low ownership. And then I have highlighted a fight that I really don't want to get to in GPPs, and that's Krylov and Gustafsson, really because it's the unknowns of Alexander Gustafsson. And then I have highlighted my GPP plays. Both guys in the main event. Jack Hermanson, takedown potential.
Yep.
Ozdemir and Craig, GPP potential there. Mason Jones, who I know you absolutely love today. Mark DeCasey, Nathaniel Wood. Wood, and you brought this point up. I don't know if it was maybe me, you were talking off air, maybe on the show on Thursday. He might score takedowns where Rosa's just able to get back up pretty quickly and just be able to rack up points.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So First of all, thank you guys for tuning in on a Saturday, and thanks, Jason, for highlighting those fights, because I think that you're hitting the nail right on his head. And the ownership of some of these fights that I consider GPP priorities doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense to me. Prioritizing the main event, the salaries are just in a sweet spot. 8,300 for Tom Aspinall, 7,900 for Curtis Blaydes. The ownership's there as it should be, right? 5-round atmosphere, both prolific finishers. I can't wait to see how that one unfolds. As far as the other fights, I think the Ozdemir Craig one, naturally for me, I'm rooting for Craig because I like Craig a lot. He's training with Tom Aspinall for this camp, a portion of his camp, which I do like. He's super chinny on the feet. So Ozdemir could probably break this slate by knocking him out relatively quickly. Ozdemir's training with Khamzat Chimaev. So you already know, like, I got one of these guys training with my boy Aspinall, one of these guys training with my other boy Khamzat Chimaev. So I'm a little neutral to it. And I think it's a fight that's kind of flying under the radar from an ownership standpoint. The Alexander Gustafsson fight and Nikita Krylov fight, I do view as a GPP priority. And I could be wrong on this, but of how Gustafsson has been finished in his past 3 fights, steps away from the octagon, there could be some ring rust, or he could just, not skip a beat and come in and look dominant as he used to. Nikita Krylov has been acclimated to the cage and the octagon and has been competing and beat the heck out of Paul Craig until he made a pretty terrible fight IQ mistake in playing in the guard of Paul Craig and got submitted. So I'm going to embrace the volatility when it comes to GPPs. Granted, you could have performers with single-digit scores, but that's what we want, right? We want, boom bust plays. Boom bust plays are going to get us to the top and give us the shot at taking down the tournaments. And I would love nothing more, and Jason would love nothing more than seeing some of our Stokastic members in audience take down some tournaments today.
We'd love to see you hit that, smash that thumbs up button. Love to get over 200 likes here before we get out of here on this edition of MMA Live Before Lock. And of course, if you're not a Stokastic Plus member, you want to get a little peek what's behind the paywall. Today's free premium day and tools was MLB ownership. And of course, if you want to try out all of our tools for MLB DFS, you now can. We've set all of our tools and projections for night slates 100% free. It's just a great way to test out what we have to offer. If you're on the fence about subscribing, I'll tell you, my MLB lineups, I use our tools. That is how I develop my lines for MLB on a nightly basis. Unfortunately, did not have that Toronto stack last night. Good Lord. You talk about the KO of the night, baby. The Blue Jays are throwing them bungalows.
Yeah. Don't get me started with baseball. And, I was supposed to go to the Red Sox game today, and we had skybox seats. So super interested, just like so invested, couldn't wait. It was my buddy's birthday, so we were going to go all out. And my lady ended up getting COVID, and I'm pretty sure I have COVID as well. So we couldn't go, obviously. People have it a lot worse than that. I'm just saying, I was really hoping to attend the game, especially after that beatdown. You know what I mean? I just want to enjoy the atmosphere and see what it's like. So baseball's a sore subject right now, Jason.
How's Bree doing?
Yeah, I mean, she's good. She's all right for right now. I mean, she's super fatigued. We're supposed to leave to go to the Dominican on Wednesday, so it's not looking good. But so that's why I said, I guess I'm going to have to stay home and bet my entire bank account on the fight. So we better bank a tournament today.
Damn right. Of course, we hit that super chat. Your questions go to the top of the queue. We already got a couple of super chats that have come in, so let's get right into those. Up first, we got Coach S chiming in. He goes, struggling here with this massive slate. Please help me with your top 2 or 3 low-owned boom sleepers.
Okay. Well,
low-owned boom sleepers.
Let's hear it.
I hate to sound like a broken record, because I feel like I am going to sound like a broken record throughout this show here. Paul Craig.
Okay.
We got him projected under 20% ownership.
Yeah, that's
look, if Paul Craig goes out there, now look, if you're Ozdemir and look, I could very well see where someone says, hey, I think a lot of people are going to jump on Paul Craig. I want to hop over, get a little leverage on the field. Volkan Ozdemir, totally get that. Look, if this fight hits the ground, I think Paul Craig will submit Volkan Ozdemir at some point. Look, people are going to call me crazy. Charles Johnson at 4% ownership.
Yeah, I'm way more than that.
Yes, I am too.
So, I mean, from an ownership standpoint, I'm looking at some of these low-owned dogs, and even in women's MMA, right? Like Hannah Goldie probably going to get box the hell up, but she's actually getting some decent ownership. If I'm comparing ownership to my exposure, it's looking like Charles Johnson would be that dart throw long shot that I am aggressive with. They have trained in the past. I like the fact that Johnson is actually good. Like he's an LFA champion. He's not just some regional talent where he's low level. He's actually really, really tested. And there's a lot of question marks surrounding Muhammad Mokaev, and I don't like hearing the fact that he's going to retire or wants to retire because of religion issues and whatnot. So, but I also say like a fighter that I have literally no faith in from a skill standpoint, but from a durability standpoint of his opponent, it's got to be Kyle Nelson. Like we have seen Jai Herbert get knocked out terribly. And if Jai Herbert had a better chin, he wins this fight 10 out of 10 times. But just like the Trinaldo fight, beating the hell out of Trinaldo, then gets hit with one big shot and gets slept. So comparing to ownership, I have a lot more than what the public does.
Next up, Liker. Really appreciate the comment. Yeah, me and Pete, we're not going anywhere. You're stuck with us. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be here every week because pretty much there's a card every week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, listen, this is the best. Jason and I are so thankful for Stokastic and, previously Awesemo, like giving us this platform to discuss the fights with you guys. Jason and I were grinding doing this for years and years and years with like 50 views on YouTube. And, reached out to Awesemo and they brought us on, and this is the best thing that's ever happened. So we're ever thankful and appreciative. And I think that we have a nice little community here. And if you appreciate what we do, hit that like button, get us over 100 likes. We'd really appreciate it.
Next up, Samuel says, top 3 favorite captains. Can I do a do-over on over-under if possible? 8.5. Appreciate you.
Got no do-over, Sam. Listen, imagine if Vegas like sent out emails. Can I do a do-over on that line? No, we're going to take advantage of that terrible line you posted. But 8.5, I still think he's close. Like I don't hate the 8.5.
In terms of favorite captains, Sam, I take you mean on FanDuel. If it is DraftKings, let us know. We'll mention that here. Obviously, the chalk in terms of MVP, it's really going to 2 sides over on FanDuel. And obviously reasons, but Muhammad Mokaev and Tom Aspinall. Like, to me, I'll give you a very under-the-radar captain play today.
Okay. Yeah. Help me out because that's your...
Jai Herbert.
What platform are we talking? Are we talking FanDuel?
FanDuel. I'm talking FanDuel right now.
You're the FanDuel god. I am the FanDuel.
I mean, look, I'm just looking at it and saying, okay, when I'm playing in a large field tournament, how, obviously people are going to go to Aspinall. People are going to go Mokaev. So who are the other options I want to get to? They're both solid plays. Don't get me wrong. I love the Tom Aspinall play, but like when I'm looking at it from a ownership perspective and saying, okay, who's not getting ownership that could cash in big time today? Jack Hermanson, if he is able to land those takedowns, now he has to be able to land those takedowns. Otherwise, a 3-round decision, not going to be a good score. So he has to go that mindset. Yeah. Patty Pimblett at just under 8% ownership. I really like Patty Pimblett in this spot. I'm getting more and more questions about where is the headspace of Jordan Leavitt heading in this one. Michael Bisping on his podcast yesterday talked the fact that the UFC wanted to do a one-on-one face-off interview between Patty Pimblett and Jordan Leavitt. And Jordan Leavitt turned it down. I cannot believe this. Like,
I don't blame him.
From a marketing and brand aspect, I'm telling you, idiotic move. Idiotic.
But I don't blame him. It's a move to get into that. Listen, the questions in the atmosphere is going to be heavily favored in the Pimblett direction. So doing that, I think, would almost benefit Pimblett. So that's stupid. You shouldn't be. If you want to do that prior to the fight, sure. Doing it like a couple days before the fight, I don't know if I agree with that.
Look, this is the thing, okay? They both have a grappling base. I view Jordan Leavitt as a one-dimensional fighter.
Yeah.
To me, he has to make this if you tell me this fight plays out in the feet, Jordan Leavitt's getting KO'd at some point.
Yeah, I think that that fight's going to suck. I
And
personally think that fight's going to suck.
And here's the other part of this, Pete. Jordan Leavitt has never fought in this type of environment. He has fought in the UFC Apex when no one's in the building.
Yeah,
that to me is a question mark of how do you handle it? There's things that I look at his facial expression this week, and I just get really bad vibes that he's not there.
I'll tell you what, like, people might be overrating Paddy Pimblett's striking. It's better than Leavitt's. Trust me, it's way better than Leavitt's, but
that's not saying much.
Yeah, exactly. He's not like he's not a K1 kickboxer out there. He's still pretty elementary. So I think the ownership is going to be flocking towards Paddy Pimblett naturally, and I'm going to have plenty of it. But I can honestly see Jordan Leavitt hanging on for dear life and doing the Jason Jackson against Diego Lima last night, Douglas Lima, of just blanketing his opponent for the 3 rounds.
But by the way, got to mention this. If anyone saw the Paddy Pimblett interview on the ESPN YouTube channel, if you're Jordan Leavitt, it's not good when the top ESPN MMA reporter doesn't even know your name, calls you Justin Leavitt. And Paddy Pimblett has to go, "Oh, you mean Jordan Leavitt?" That's right. He goes, "You don't even know who this guy is." Bad look. Oh man, bad look. But in terms of other captains, I think that are interesting plays. Nathaniel Wood, Mark Casey, Mason Jones. Those are the ones that stick out to me when I'm looking to get away from the chalk.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to get away from chalk sometimes. And it's also like, I think it's kind of tough on FanDuel. And you're the FanDuel god. I'm terrible on FanDuel. But Aspinall at 20 and Blaydes at 17, just of how I see this fight going. If I was going to be making a ton of lineups on FanDuel, having one of those guys in the MVP spot would be a part of the large majority.
Look, I love when FanDuel gave you points for takedown defenses. I don't necessarily love their new scoring system.
Yeah. Who knows? It was, but I don't know. It was difficult, right? Because you had fighters who were just defending takedowns as a punt.
It separated themselves from the DraftKings product.
Yeah, it did. But like, you'd also have some fighters that shouldn't be a part of the optimal lineup that defend 5 takedowns all of a sudden sneak into the optimal. So
I made money over there. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You just hating over there.
I stay away from it. You guys are killing it with the super chats. We appreciate you guys, and we're going to get right to them.
We'll go Jorge super chat. He goes for single entry GPP on DraftKings. Best fighter to spend the remaining 7,700 or less salary, and thoughts on Goldie as a cheap 7.2K fighter. So 77 and less. First one that sticks out to me, the top 2 for me would be Paul Craig and Makwan Amirkhani, just because of upside of them being able to score 100 points.
Yes. I like Amirkhani from a submission standpoint. I know that Jonathan Pierce's coaches have worked with him this camp about leaving his head out there and defending an anaconda and Darce choke. I saw the tendency against Christian Rodriguez, so I'm worried about that, and that's why I'm getting to Amirkhani plenty, because I think that he could actually contest and threaten Jonathan Pierce. But from 2 fighters within that range, I might have to go Paul Craig and Alexander Gustafsson. I really do. I think that Gustafsson has a ton of unknowns surrounding him. And somebody said in chat, Alex is, I forget what they said. Alex is washed and Krylov is dumb. So what comes first? So it's like, we'll have to see how this fight plays out.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Mention about that top fire tool if you want to get access to all the data tools we have over at Stokastic.com. You got to sign up for a Stokastic Plus pass over there. And if you've never been a Stokastic Plus member, right now is a great time to sign up, as we've got an offer for new Stokastic Plus users, as you can save 50% off your first week of any Stokastic Plus weekly pass. All you got to do is use that promo code MMALBL, all caps one word, MMALBL, for 50% off your first week of any weekly package. Of course, if you just want to play MMA DFS, we've got that weekly package over there. Take advantage of that offer. This is for new users only. Highly recommend taking advantage of this right now. That top fire tool is my go-to in terms of developing my lineups. Some of the things that I'm looking for is I'm looking at ownership, and like I'll give you a little insight here. Alexander Gustafsson, 13% ownership. It's a good leverage play there, Pete.
I got more than that. I got more than that. I'm telling you what, I got a ton riding on Mason Jones, which I hope he doesn't get head kicked and get knocked out, and my boy Tom Aspinall. Listen, if I'm over here, tooting the horn of the Aspinall hype train, I can't, when push comes to shove, I can't get off of the hype train. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I would be a fraud if I was like, 50-50 on this fight. I'm just going to take a stand. I'm 100% today on Tom Aspinall. And whether he loses or not, I understand the risk. For a normal player, you should be 50-50, but I got to, captain's got to go down with the ship.
I heard someone else bring up this point about Tom Aspinall this week. And of course, Tom has been very, very public with the fact that he feels that Curtis Blaydes is the worst matchup for him. Tom Aspinall is currently the number 6 challenger in the UFC rankings. Is there another fighter that you think he would lose to, not named Curtis Blaydes?
No.
Top 5.
No.
Derek Lewis.
Nope.
Todd Tuivasa.
Hell no.
Stipe Miocic.
Interesting.
Cyril Gane.
No.
Would you pick him right now against Francis Ngannou?
I would.
And the show I was listening to made that point. They said that right now they would pick Aspinall against any heavyweight not named Curtis Blaydes.
Yeah.
Because of Curtis Blaydes' style, it creates a stylistic potential problem for Aspinall.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So for me, big believer in Aspinall. I think Curtis Blaydes being able to threaten with striking and takedowns makes him so dangerous. But also Curtis Blaydes has some, questionable fight IQ at times where he doesn't go to his wrestling right out the gate. Like he was going and striking with Dawkins right out the gate. Maybe that's because Dawkins isn't the biggest heavyweight out there and shouldn't be fighting at heavyweight. Aspinall is a mammoth of a human being. He is huge. He makes Curtis Blaydes look small. And I'm just going to believe that he can touch up Curtis Blaydes. It ain't a Curtis Blaydes fight unless he gets rocked. And he gets rocked quite a bit. And I think Aspinall's going to shut his lights off.
Mention about the second part of Jorge's super chat about Hannah Goldie as a cheap fighter. I don't mind getting there in cash. In GPP, I really don't want to get there, Pete.
In where? Hannah Goldie?
Yeah.
I mean, I am. And I am because of a salary play. I don't think it's going to be a great performance. But she just pulled off a submission victory over Emily Whitmore. Completely different level of opponent than Molly McCann. Scored 97. Armbar from guard. Questionable fight IQ from Molly McCann at times. Similar volume. And I think that's interesting because the volume could make McCann make a mistake. McCann is extremely favored in this matchup. I'm just getting to more Hannah Goldie than what the ownership's saying, right? Like I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, I'll get a little bit more than that.
By the way, CS, appreciate it, super chat. I'm not doing a shoey, bro. It's not happening.
Well, we got people asking for shoeys.
He goes, forgot to say, love you guys. Shoey for you both. No, there ain't no shoey happening here, bro.
Oh my God. We got to do something different.
Look, if I saw a video of you doing a shoey, I'm making some calls to make sure you're okay.
Yeah. I mean, our boys, Paul Shag and Saftig do that. And, they're fantastic. That's their lane. I'm not going to intrude on their lane. I ain't going to do that. No.
Oh, man. Like, every time I see Tuivasa do that thing, like, here's the thing I don't get about the shoey. Why do you got to spit in it? Like, it's nasty enough as it is.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Oh, Corey's got the next super chat. He goes, I believe Nelson will knock out Herbert in the first, maybe early second, and break the slate. What do you guys think of this? And I'm referring to DraftKings. Look, it's a high volatility fight on both sides. The reason I got to Herbert was because of his striking and more looking at it from an ownership play in terms of those 9,000 options of trying to get someone who's got a little bit less ownership.
Yeah. So the better fighter doesn't always win. my golden rule is don't back a fighter coming off a knockout defeat. The issue is Kyle Nelson and Jai Herbert are both coming off a knockout defeat. So where do you go in a situation like that? Do you lean towards skill? Do you lean towards how many times somebody's been knocked out? Because once that chin's gone, Jason, you get wobbled by shots you should not be getting wobbled by. And that's my worry with Jai Herbert, is picking apart Kyle Nelson until a stupid overhand lands or Kyle Nelson just blitzes him right out the gate. If they had full, think about it like a video game, right? They had full health. Jai Herbert beats the brakes out of Kyle Nelson. But now we're talking about a diminished chin in 2022. Sometimes skill doesn't win. So I'm going to side with some variance with that fight. And I think the line's a little too wide.
Next we got Safe saying, he goes, I've seen Victoria Leonardo's fights on YouTube and she's pretty aggressive, sneaky GPP play.
I don't mind Victoria Leonardo. Let me check out my ownership on that. Yeah, I'm decent with Victoria Leonardo. I'm slightly above the ownership that we are projecting. Low level fight. Mandy Baum did not look good on the tape when you went back and you watched it. Victoria Leonardo, definitely nothing to write home about. So women's MMA underdogs sneak their way in a little bit more so than other matchups. And I think that she actually has fought I know she's fought the tougher competition. You could literally go down Miranda Maverick, Manon Fiorot, and the other fighter, Mandy Baum, has not fought anybody of that caliber.
Sam Pierce up next. He says, he goes, am I crazy for fading the Patty fight? I feel like he comes out and tries to get a finish in 2 minutes and will gas out. Leavitt ain't great, but is durable.
I am slightly fading it. Not fading. I'm neutral to one side and a little underweight to the other, just because I don't know what to expect. You know what I mean? Like, it's such an awkward fight when you got two guys that aren't prolific strikers. Paddy Pimblett says he's going to knock him out in round 1. What happens if Jordan Leavitt just changes levels and gets on those legs and those hips and stalls him out? Kid. Yeah, I would love it if Paddy Pimblett slapped him pretty early. So we'll have to see.
By the way, Samuel mentioned that his super chat earlier was for favorite captain on DraftKings. So look at the DraftKings slate here for the captain. So we got Molly McCann 13-8, Mason Jones 13-5, Mark Casey 13-2, Patty 12-9, so on and so forth. Man, the 11,700 for Aspinall.
Yep.
I like the value there, that then it doesn't, the one thing about that DraftKings captain contest is, if you take, maybe you want to go with a Mark Casey because you think that he's really going to go that takedown well. It just kind of hampers what the rest of your line could be. So the Aspinall one kind of sticks out to me a little bit there. I probably feel the most comfortable going Aspinall.
I'll tell you what, when I'm looking at the captain contest, it has a lot of the fights that I'm targeting for my actual lineups, like whether it's one side or the other. Like when I'm making my groups on stokastic.fantasycruncher.com, I'm trying to highlight the fights that I think are going to score well or end inside the distance. And the captain contest, it's a little difficult because there's a lot of the fights that I'm including. Obviously, I really like Mason Jones 13-5, probably a contrarian pick because a lot of people aren't going to spend that for him up top. They're going to naturally scroll down and see the main event, Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blaydes sitting there at 11-7 and 10-2 respectively. So from a contrarian standpoint, I'm going to say Mason Jones. From a chalky standpoint, I would have to say the main event fighters.
Jackie, I appreciate you in the super chat as well. If you do got a question, just let me know what that may be. Of course, this show is sponsored by PrizePicks. Appreciate their support here of the MMA Live Before Lock show. Of course, you got to hit their daily prop contest over there. Be sure to use that promo code. Also, they got an instant first match deposit of up to $100. So simple. Deposit $100 the first time you make a deposit. They give you $100. And Pete, looking over at PrizePicks, I do like that under fight time of 15 minutes on Tom Aspinall. And I like the over 1.5 takedowns on Jack Hermanson.
Yeah, I like the over on that as well. I mean, The way that Jack Hermanson is going to attempt takedowns is going to be much different than the way Rodolfo Vieira was. Rodolfo's shooting naked takedowns from the outside, just diving at his legs. Whereas Jack Hermanson is going to be looking to clinch up with him, press him against the cage, upper body wrestle him, chain something together from there. So the clinch fighting in the battle of the underhooks and overhooks is going to be, extremely crucial for Chris Curtis to keep it on the feet. So I think that he's going to get taken down twice.
And one thing that really, and that's a fight that I've really gone back and forth on all week long.
Same.
And on Thursday, I picked Curtis to win it. I mean, I love the action, man. I mean, the guy's a tremendous talent to watch fight. But one of the things that really does concern me is the fact that this fight's at 185 pounds. I feel that he's more suited for 170 pounds. And I mean, look, the thought process on Chris throughout his career is try to make it a grappling matchup. I do wonder how much that size is going to take advantage of there. By the way, Kenny Carey, if the shoes are fresh out of the box, it does not change my opinion. Why can't I just drink my beer out of a bottle?
Yeah, I mean,
or a glass. Am I just too bougie over here?
I think you might
I mean, I might be a little bougie. Okay, I might be a little bougie.
You might have to live a little bit, Jason.
If you add a raw egg, you can do that, Jason.
Ain't nobody, dude. Raw. You guys see what's going on in the chat right now? We got a GoFundMe for a new chair for me. So you got everybody saying bink for the seat. So if people are end up winning their tournaments, they're going to donate so that I could get a new chair or something like that. I appreciate it, guys. You don't have to do that. The chair works decently, but that would definitely.
Hold on, I have seen you adjust this thing at least 2 times in the show already.
Yeah. Whatever, Jason. All right.
How do you play Call of Duty in that chair?
I just do it. I don't know. I'm always gaming. I'm always gaming.
Oh man, yeah. Every time I see Pete just kind of stand up and go, "Oh, he's got to adjust that chair again."
Shut up, Jason. All right. Damn, you guys are killing it with the super chats, and you guys are just awesome and great questions. Sam Pierce saying, Pete, you are 100% on Aspinall, and I'm 100% on Blaydes. Bet Aspinall wins, I will donate $50. If Blaydes wins, you got to rock the Patty the Batty haircut next show. And yes, wig is what I'm expecting. Bet. No. No. I mean, if I get that wig, sure, I would rock it on the show. I don't care. That actually used to be my haircut when I was a kid. So if we could go back in time, I would just rock the same old haircut, the bowl cut.
It's really funny. I was actually on Amazon trying to order one, but it wasn't going to come in before this show, and I couldn't do the bit, so I went against it. But maybe next Patty card, I'll dress up as Patty and then get.
If somebody finds one and can get one, I would do it. I wouldn't be against it. I'm all for making this show entertaining.
I think one thing to point out is I do believe when we talk about the Patty Pimblett matchup and we talk about the Molly McCann matchup, that the UFC matchmakers have put them both in fights that they believe they have a good chance of performing well against. I mean, look, this car, obviously the car was built around the main event, but this is the Patty Pimblett show. And the UFC realized that they believe they have something in Molly McCann in terms of exciting fighters who are going to go out there and deliver. So to me, this is a true A and B side of the matchup. And I do feel that these fights have been set up to allow Patty Pimblett and Molly McCann to style on.
Yeah. I mean, set up for that. Right. And we know regional matchmaking pretty well. A lot of times you'll have A sides of the fight and B sides of the fight. And, you have promoters trying to get their fighters to progress slowly, picking up wins in winnable matchups. And we see upsets happen all the time. You know what I mean? You'll see fighters, from the B side throwing a monkey wrench into the complete plan of the promotion. And that guy's one fight away from getting the call. Massive upsets. Jay Ellis upsetting somebody who was winless in 70 fights or something like that. So it's MMA. If setup fights and what is supposed to happen happened all the time, we would have a different landscape of, the MMA rankings. Things would be completely different. So I always put that, I take that with a little grain of salt. Because obviously you know what the UFC wants, but what the UFC wants and what actually happens is completely two different things.
You know, I had to go at Jay Ellis' Tapology. Jay Ellis hasn't fought since April.
Is he retiring off that win?
No.
Did he lose after it?
Since that win against Rodrigo Almeida, he has lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
He should have went
fights,
out with,
3 in boxing.
Yeah. Jeez.
I'll never forget. I remember talking to a regional matchmaker about Jay Ellis, and they said the one thing they said, he goes, look, Jay's record is, we all know what it is. He goes, but no matter what, Jay's showing up on fight night, regardless, he will be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And showing up half the time, showing up is just half the battle, as my dad always says, for anything. Showing up is half the battle. You put yourself into a position, you throw yourself to the wolves a little bit. Eventually things are going to start working out. And, it's the same thing with fighting, where you're like, man, how is this guy getting these fights, or how is he still hanging around? And just remaining active and getting experience means a lot. So that's why I tend to favor fighters that have been acclimated and are constantly testing themselves.
Let's get a couple more super chats in here. Corey Randall says, last piece on DraftKings, I'm trying to choose between Craig and Leonardo. Odds that Leonardo outscore Craig.
I think she does, if Craig doesn't get a quick finish. Craig is live early. I would say the first round and a half. I mean, he's live all the time. What am I saying? Yeah. Because of what he did to Magomed Ankalaev. But from like a minute winner, I think Leonardo's a better minute winner in this comparison, whereas Craig has that Hail Mary submission skill about him that could get him high score or it could get him single digit performance.
Samuel says, no shoey, but I say shots per Bungalows KO wins. Look, you want to do some shots? I'll do some shots. I got no problem with that.
I would do a shot. And
you say a shot.
Yeah, bro, I mean, listen, I can't throw him back, but I would do a shot. And I would do something like that.
Let's just say I'm going to a minor league baseball game where our friends have a suite tonight, and it's free drinks, free food.
There you go. Are you a Tito's guy?
I'm not a huge, I'm more of a whiskey than a vodka guy.
Okay. Well, I'll be here hanging out with everybody, watching the fights, and
I'm not leaving until after the fights are over.
Oh, okay. I forget what time it is. It's daytime. So yeah,
bro. It's 11:39 here on the East Coast. We got 20 minutes to lock. Oh man. Yeah, by the way, me and my friends, we do this once a year. It's actually the first time we've done it since 2019 because of COVID. Mm-hmm. And usually there's always someone who does buy a bottle of Tito's.
Tito's, people go crazy over Tito's. I don't get it. I'm not a vodka guy, but man, these people are going wild over Tito's. Gluten-free, throw it back. So who knows?
First off, if you're talking gluten-free and drinking, well, like what world are we living in, bro?
Jason, I am the grandson of a farmer. Please do not even get me going on a rant about how alcohol and gluten-free just doesn't make much sense, but okay.
Oh man.
Yeah.
We got Nick saying the war paint face Craig in the UK or a women's MMA fight. I think that Paul Craig wins the weigh-ins a lot. If you look at the ceremonial weigh-ins, he looks like a monster. So that's probably that might actually make Paul Craig a little bit more popular. I like Craig just from an intensity standpoint, but man, that chin is questionable.
Yeah. Oliver, I'm not FMK. What's that stand for? I guess I'm not hip for that.
Oh, don't. Yes. Oh goodness.
For your lineups, Makayev, Wood, McCann. Well, I mean, it's three of the most expensive fighters on the card.
So you gotta make love to one, marry one, and kill one.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna say for lineups. I might kill McCann in this situation and get rid of her because like Makayev has upside despite the questions and me getting to Charles Johnson. I think Wood and Makayev are pretty damn good.
I mean, the thing about McCann is if it is just a straight up on, standing striking matchup, if she doesn't score knockdowns, how much volume does she have to land to be optimal at her price tag?
She's been a DFS darling, but it's because of getting takedowns. There have been times where in decisions against Ji Young Kim, 92 points, still landed 2 of 3 takedowns. So what happens if she doesn't get it to the mat? Do we see a decision similar to the Ariane Lipsky where she scored 84 points, still had 2 takedowns in that situation? So without takedowns, I think that her floor is pretty low.
Michael Peterson says, sorry, Pete, but you need a shot in a sippy cup.
I saw that, Mike. I didn't acknowledge it. Of course, Jason's got to acknowledge it. And yes, I do need a sippy cup. So it's all right.
Damn right, I'm going to acknowledge that, man. I see that. It made me laugh.
Yeah. And we had Dave earlier in the chat, Dave DeRemer, saying something about us getting together. That would be great. I would love nothing more than, if we're visiting a town or something, or I have a fighter fighting or I'm fighting, that we get together and get to meet you guys. That would be cool.
Let me go through some questions I got earlier in the chat here that we haven't got to yet. Are about it saying single entry GPP on DraftKings, Gustafsson or Curtis?
I'm going Gus.
I would probably go Gustafsson because here's my concern with Chris Curtis. He wins the 3-round decision where he's just stopping takedowns, kind of like the Rodolfo Vieira fight. I just don't see him being optimal even at his price point.
Yeah, I mean, if you're defending takedowns and constantly having to work, seconds are ticking off the clock. And unless you find a knockout shot, how much volume are you really going to have when you're too busy defending takedowns to pay off that price tag? So it's a Gus play. It's a pretty easy play for me.
By the way, we're just about 15 minutes away from lock here. Steven, biggest fade, Demir?
Naturally, Demir looks terrible on film. He looks terrible on film because he can't defend takedowns. Mark Chikasi looked like he was a D1 wrestler. He looked like Jordan Burroughs his last time out there. He absolutely destroyed Slava Claus in the takedown department. So I actually think that Mark Chikasi is a stud. And in England, he might want to strike a little bit more. And if you strike a little bit more because the fans were booing so bad against Slava Claus in his most recent bout, Demir's got power. Demir definitely has power. It's just he's so one-dimensional. You got to be wise to what you're rostering there. I have Demir, but I also know that those lineups could be terrible.
Yeah. Sean says the 6'7" fighter never wins on DraftKings. I hope you're wrong. I hope that happens today because my single entry lineup will love it very much.
Yeah, I mean, Sean's always in the chat, so appreciate you, Sean. And it is weird how that 6,700 fighter, but listen, the odds don't follow the fighters in the cage. Crazy things have happened. Mm-hmm. And I think that Johnson can be competitive in this division, and there's question marks surrounding Makayev, and it's a salary play for me.
Yeah. And I mean, I think also one of the things that I look at Johnson is the level of competition he fought prior to coming to the UFC in comparison to Makayev. Yep. It's just better competition that he fought.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it's pretty hard not to take stabs at a guy when he's going single digit ownership and he's fought the tougher competition. Like, yeah, he could get ragdolled, and his skill of getting back to his feet could lead to a higher score for Makayev, but it also could lead to Makayev gassing possibly. We don't know.
Of course, we appreciate everyone here on a Saturday morning watching live before lock. If you get us over 200 likes, we really do appreciate that. Appreciate everyone checking out all the content we have over here at Stokastic.com. And of course, if you've not checked out this week's episode of Takedown City, you can check that out over at OddsShopper. Leave your best bets in the comment section over there, as they're giving away a free week of our betting subscription for a correct pick in chat. So be sure to check out that over there at the OddsShopper YouTube channel. It's a great time we have over there talking the main card of tonight's or today's UFC London. Also, on that episode, we also talked about last night's Bellator show. So appreciate you. Check out there, head over there, leave that comment over there in the chat of what your best bet is for today's UFC London card. Nick says Hermanson will break the slate once he gets the takedowns rolling. If he gets the takedowns going, yeah, he could potentially be our slate breaker. I mean, there's some good candidates today for slate breakers. I mean, Charles Johnson, I think is a potential slate breaker there. But then like, you know what? Someone like a Mark Casey, just because of that takedown potential, could be too.
Yeah. I think that the 9,000 options look amazing. I'm obviously taking a bigger stand on Mason Jones because of the pace at which he fights. And I don't think that his opponent, Ludovic Klein, can maintain that same pace. And I'm worried about Ludovic Klein landing a head kick knockout. So perhaps you guys should, be a lot more exposed to Ludovic Klein than I am. Mm-hmm. I just think that what I saw from Nate Landwehr, what I've also seen from, I forget the fighter's name, but another fighter that pressed Ludovic Klein backwards, I don't think he's the same fighter. And I think Mason Jones can win in multiple ways. So the 9,000 options look amazing. It's just, it comes down to a score. Who's going to score the most?
See here. I'm just going through some of the old chats. Ty over here talking about asking me to do a shoey from his croc. Do you see me wearing Crocs, Pete? Start asking questions.
Listen, I got Crocs. Crocs are the best gym shoe. Listen, I live at the gym. I go to the gym. Crocs, boom, boom, boom. It's easy. If you live in Florida, you don't own Crocs, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, I'm okay with coming.
I own sandals. Okay.
You can come at me for the shoey, but you can't come at me for the Crocs. That's egregious, Jason. Crocs are what defines America. I mean, it's amazing.
Defines America?
Yeah, Crocs, please sponsor us.
Oh, goodness.
Never been a Croc guy.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
Would you play Rosa or Goldie on a single entry GPP? I'd rather in terms of GPPs, I'd rather get to Rosa than Goldie.
Okay, I'd rather get to Goldie than Rosa, but pretty similar, right? Going up against a big favorite. The one thing for Rosa is that he's going to be the bigger guy in there. One thing for Hannah Goldie is that she can, mimic the activity level of Molly McCann. So I'll go Goldie, women's MMA.
Joshua goes, McDonald's isn't good for Patty's gas tank.
Yeah, it's not. James Kemper, Pete, what's your percentage of Mason Jones in your lineup? So I play DFS different sometimes. Some weeks I'm spread out with my ownership. This week I'm planting my flag. Past couple weeks I've been planting my flag on certain fighters and going extremely over. So I am over 80% Mason Jones. And if it doesn't work out for me, it doesn't work out for me. But I think that he's going to break the slate.
Jackie asked, any tips for groups on Fantasy Cruncher for 20 max on DraftKings? Says, I'm familiar with FC, but not an expert. All right. Here is my general thought on 20 max is I am just trying to get as different as I possibly can. Alex talks about this all the time. Yep. Play against the field, not against yourself, So what I would try to do is sit there and first off, I'm trying to sit there, prioritize the main event. Very first off, prioritize a couple of underdogs, but then really just try to just get as different as you possibly can.
Yeah. So make the group, include the main event, it needs to be in there. And next thing is the fights that are going to end inside the distance. The Craig Volkan Ozdemir fight, the Gustafsson Nikita Krylov fight, the Jai Herbert Kyle Nelson. I probably want to get to at least one, maybe two of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I just, and I would personally, for me, I would set my randomness a little higher than I normally would. Typically, my randomness, I go about 20%. And at least I would say uniques per lineup, at least 2, maybe 3, if you want to really try to get different.
Yeah, I've been including some randomness. And also when I do 2 uniques, I feel like there's so many options still, right? And we are all, confined to 150 lineups. So when I get to 3 uniques, I find that to be a little bit more workable for my lineups of how I'm constructing.
So as all the alcohol content that's in our chat right now, I work in the bar industry. I've literally seen anything you can think of when it comes to alcohol. Every company has their own seltzer.
Oh yeah.
I mean, every yeah. I've literally seen everything when it comes to alcohol. And I know since you work in the club business, you've seen everything too.
Yes, sir. That's my job.
FanDuel single industry, Mason Jones or Patty for MVP. I would go Mason Jones.
Yeah, Mason Jones. Listen, you guys know Mason Jones loses today, I'm screwed. Similar to how I was last week with Bill Algeo. Same thing with Tom Aspinall today. I recommend everybody else going 50-50 on that fight, but for me, I'm big on Tom Aspinall.
Dylan with the DraftKings question: Craig and Hermanson or Blaydes and Victoria?
I'm going to go first one. Craig and
I would
Hermanson.
I would go first one as well. Gus or Hermanson for last spot in a GPP? Hermanson.
I'm going to go Hermanson as well.
Caleb's got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-leg parlay here. Woo. Gustafsson, McCann, Pimblett, Wood, Makayev, and Jones.
Gonna be sweaty.
Yeah.
All about your risk tolerance.
Yeah, that's a lot of legs there.
Who are we not talking about, Jason? And let me take a peek.
Dalby and Silva.
Okay. Yep. So Dalby, right, has been knocked down so many times in his fights. Should be able to stick on the outside against the lethargic Claudio Silva. Claudio is round 1 submission or bust. And I have question marks surrounding both guys. I think the pace of the fight is going to be slow. I could be wrong, but it's a fight that I'm even with the ownership. Might even be a little bit less than, because I just don't know, man. Dalby has not looked like the reputation inside the UFC.
By the way, Nick's St. Stephen asking goes, does A side and B side just mean favorite underdogs or something more sideways about those terms? Best way I can put that is A side of the fight is we're set up to win this fight. It's not about, they're the person who should win the fight, I should say.
Yeah, I would say it's a combination of everything, right? Like styles make fights, reputation, momentum, what the promotion wants to happen as well. And, the B side of fights anything can happen, right? We see slips, injuries, and people having off nights, people coming into fight nights when they're, nursing an injury or sick. And that's the worst, is you find out after, I battled COVID for the past 3 weeks. It's like, yeah, well, we didn't know that. So.
By the way, the boss man's in the chat.
Is he?
And he says, Crocs are the only shoe I would use for a shoey. Okay, I would pay to see Alex do a shoey. I would pay to see this.
If Alex did a shoey with a Croc, I would have to do the same exact thing. So, maybe we'll have shoeys galore. Maybe we'll do that for like the holiday party or something. But Alex is going to have to be the first one to do it, because I am not going to lead it.
I feel like we got some crazy people on staff that would definitely do shoeys.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think we're going to start with the producers, Tyler and Jordan. So,
I don't know about Jordan doing a shoey.
I don't know if Jordan would. I bet
Jordan would do it. Jordan would do it. Yeah. I've witnessed that man down like a handle of vodka on a holiday show before and sit there and talk to Chad. A shoey is like, that's light work. That's a warm up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Laffy would do it. Yeah.
I'll shotgun a 4 Loko with Matt Gajeski also during football season. Last time I did that, didn't make
Gajeski would, he would definitely do a shoey.
Gajeski's a beast. So
Nate, I do not have Jesus sandals. No. I'm a Nike guy.
Pierce or Jones, and thoughts on Goldie in a single entry. Pierce or Jones. So I have question marks surrounding Pierce. Obviously, like this slate for me isn't the most confident from like a picking standpoint, but from an exposure standpoint, I think that Jonathan Pierce is in an interesting spot, right? Pushes a pace really well. We've seen Amir Khani break in the past, but I worry about him getting submitted, truthfully. So, oh man,
Chad says, any concerns about Goldie needing a finish versus McCann? Not necessarily.
So the narrative, right, of in the hometown, getting the hometown rub, and England fighters or international fighters getting decisions over other fighters, so like questionable decisions, I feel like it might be overblown a little bit, right? I really feel like it might be overblown, because I don't think that that's going to happen.
Yeah. Salty goes, I don't know, Jason. Have you seen me snort tequila or drink a live goldfish in a kamikaze? That is crazy.
Yeah. I don't know what y'all. We got some college people in here.
Yeah. But yeah, man, we about to reach lock here. We appreciate everyone tuning in here for Live for Lock. Of course, be sure to check out our presenting sponsor, PrizePicks. So the props they got going on over there. I'll be here tomorrow for NASCAR Live Before Lock. So be sure to check out that. Jackie, appreciate the super chat there at the end. Pete, ain't last things you want to mention?
No, good luck, everybody. Split your exposure a little late now, but 3 minutes. Best of luck, and I hope that we come out on the winning side of things. Yeah, I think it's going to be a wild score. I think we're going to see 650 plus.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of finishes here today, but that is going to do it for us. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Look forward to checking out the fights. Good luck to everyone. Let's see those winning screenshots, and we will talk to you next week right here on Stokastic.com. Have a good afternoon, everybody.